just try to stay strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time. And I just try to stand strong for my teammates because I don't want them to see me down and, like, not be there for them. So I just want to always just know, like, I'm still a human. Like, all this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day, I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here and say, like, I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to always leave that mark and be who I am and stand on that. And hopefully the little girls that look up to me, and hopefully I give them some type of inspiration that, hopefully it's not this hard and all the things that come at you, but keep being who you are. Keep waking up every day. Keep being motivated, staying who you are, staying 10 toes, don't back down, and just be confident.
Yes, and that broke my heart to see her. That was Angel Reese last night. They lost to Caitlin Clark's team, Iowa. It was a game that looked like it was going to go LSU's way until Angel Reese. She was cooking them. Boy, she was cooking them in the first half. And then she went, I think she stopped Caitlin on her end and then went out of bounds and twisted her ankle. And I knew then that she was not going to come back as strong as she was because the ankle was tender and she could not play with the same level of aggression that she had in the first half. And this nasty piece written by Ben Bolt, which the headlines, I was just on there. The headline is UCLA LSU is America's sweethearts versus its basketball villains. And it went on to, so now there's an editor's note on this story. So you can't even get the original story anymore. The original version of this commentary did not meet Times editorial standards. Oh, so it didn't meet it after the fact? Like, y'all playing in our faces. It has been edited to remove language that was inappropriate and offensive. We apologize to LSU basketball program and to our readers. On Monday, Ben Boch, whatever the hell his name is, offered an apology, which is appended to the bottom of this commentary. I don't think I agree with this. 866-801-8255. We got a bunch of callers. Omi Bell is here. Don Calloway is here as well. No, leave this stuff up there. Leave it up there. To erase it is just like taking, and I'm sorry I said that, out of Huckleberry Finn. Some things need to have the things so that we could be reminded of what happened. You erasing it, and this is the problem in this tech space that we're in right now. And I said this before. A flip of a switch or a click of a button can erase whole histories, right? We can have a future 100 years from now where a lot of this stuff that we have now digitally can be gone, erased, disappeared with the flip of a button based on somebody's, this is offensive. We're seeing it play out right now in Texas and in Florida and other places with books being banned because it's too much for our children. It's all of this. And this is a version of this. Shame on you, LA Times, getting rid of editing it. You shouldn't have put it out. Eat that. Sit in that. You did that. You let it go out. So now you putting up an editorial note? Get out of here. This is craziness. We are in some strange times, and it's not going to end well if we don't fix this. Omi, Don, y'all are here. Hi.
I've been watching sports my entire life, and, I thought that last night was the first time that I remember a women's sporting event falling into that venerable category where there is a very clear racial line on black folks are rooting with these folks, white folks is with this team. And last night, and even frankly in both games, but the second game to a lesser degree, black folks was with LSU, white folks was with Iowa. And that's been a theme of sports, whether or not we talk about it, my whole life, and certainly long before. I mean, when you talk about Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling in the 30s, or you talk about Moulton, Alabama's own Jesse Owens versus the Führer Adolf Hitler in 1930s in the Munich Olympics. I remember from the beginning of me watching sports, Lakers versus Celtics. Black folk was with Magic, white folks was with Larry Bird, and so on and so forth. And on down the road, I just remember this being a constant theme in sports, but I felt that it was somewhat oddly progressive that last night was the first time I remember that applying to a women's event. And I took some small modicum of pride in it. Maybe I'm a weird dude and a perverse mind, but I'm like, all right, everybody's really paying attention because we were rooting for LSU as a family, and I was on board. So, women's sports have arrived in these last couple of years in a very real way. And therefore, it only makes sense that there is this serious and palpable racial element to it, like there is everything else in this country.
And I guess, Don, for you, is that the bar of women's sports have made it? Right.
Oh,
so, you know, I think that because
dividing us along racial lines. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I can roll with that. I'm glad. I'm just gonna say I'll stick with gender piece. I'm glad that women's sports have arrived this way. And I think, and I'm hoping that this continues to spill over, like spread the WNBA. I hope that, because the women are balling right now. To be honest, the NBA got a little boring now. On some fronts, and they actually, that's why they started that tournament, that summer, that off kind of like tournament while the season is going, is because things got a little,
because there are no rivalries. What Don tapped into is the rivalry, right? There's no rivalries anymore because everybody's friends. They're playing with their friends. This is why, to this day, I'm still holding it against Katie going to play with the Warriors, because that was a potential rivalry that we could have been seeing play out for years to come. OKC versus the Warriors. But yeah, there are no rivalries. Everybody's friends. Everybody likes each other, or they don't. But Draymond, nobody likes him. But it's in the women's game, there are rivalries. Like Dawn Staley. That's a real rivalry. Her and LSU, that team. We're gonna see Gino and Dawn. Like that's a rivalry. Dawn Staley and Gino Auriemma. Those teams are rivals, and so that's what we're feeling, as well as the racial. I'm sorry, Don. Go ahead.
No, you're right. No, I interrupted you. Black folks gonna be with Dawn, by the way. That's all.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And I think
somebody asked. I'm sorry. Venus and Serena. That was race too, by the way, when they came out.
Yeah, very much so. It's a consistent theme. It is a consistent theme. There's no doubt about it.
And that's why I'm like, well, is that the mark of where things have made it? Like it's made it when it's there. I think so. For me, I'm from North Carolina, so I grew up with my family being split, Duke, Carolina, NC State, and so I'm not one that I'm not an avid sports watcher. Okay, in the reveal, but I grew up with it in my house and in my family all the time. The rivalry is strong on the college sports. It's strong, and still fairly strong on the NFL front. I don't know what's going on with the NBA part. I don't know if everybody's just making so much capital that at this point they're just like high-fiving each other and going from team to team, and so the rivalries don't hold. But
the NBA has significant rivalries. I probably watch more NBA basketball than most, and I do think that the NBA still has very significant rivalries, although I would say that often the rivalries are focused on individuals as opposed to teams, because first of all, there's a lot more transience from players moving from team to team in search of the bag. I'm all for it. Go get them. Player empowerment. But I want to see LeBron versus Steph. I want to see Wemby versus Ant-Man. And if you look at the marketing schemes, they often say like this player versus this player as opposed to the teams. But you are right that there have not been that many team loyalty rivalries as much as the focus is on the individual. I will say, though, however, it's very difficult to, when you talk about everybody being friends and such, that is because these players are now incubated in these AAU bubbles from such an early age that the elite players who are going to make it to that level have known each other their whole entire lives. And it's hard to maintain the angst and anxiety required for a bitter rivalry. But it is always fascinating to watch how young men who make absurd amounts of money are able to stay motivated to pursue something which is ultimately a job beyond the point that they have to work at all. These young men are making so much money that it's very, very difficult to corral them all toward the mission of being on one page for a championship. So I still love the NBA. Perhaps I'm an apologist.
Oh, I love the NBA too. We're also a partner with the NBA Foundation. Just want to put that out there. But so I do love the NBA. It's interesting. What I also love though during the end of NCAA tournaments is the commercials. Okay, the commercials with all the mascots driving the cars around. I don't know if y'all saw that, but also that the students are able to, because of the name, image, and likeness, the NIL now, they're able to make money. And I'm like seeing them in the commercials, and I'm like, yes, okay,
I like
they
that. I love it. I like that. Love it. No, because ultimately NIL is just something that affects such a small percentage of student athletes, and the schools, the universities, the NCAA, who is making all the money, should be compensating these kids, and that's not what's happening. So NIL is cool to see. It's definitely changed the game, but it's not something that I'm willing to celebrate because it's not equity for these players who should be getting paid by these institutions who are making billions.
They should, but it's a step in the right direction for someone like Angel Reese, who had $2 million worth of NIL money. She can make a decision now. She can go back to play if she wants to, or go to the WNBA. She's not forced to do any or do nothing. I mean, if she invests $2 million, correctly, she's good. She can be good for the rest of her life and never have to do anything.
The WNBA would be a pay cut, and that's an unfortunate reality of the pay equity between the WNBA and the regular NBA.
The sports race wars was trending last night too, and I was like, do I want to click on the hashtag and see what that's about? But Jemele Hill was catching some smoke from the fragile racists who want to then call her racist for bringing out the fact that they're racist. But I'm gonna play her clip. She was talking to Dan Lebitard, who I really like a lot. You want to talk about an ally, an accomplice? That guy will go hard in the paint. Him, Chuck Modiano. There's a few. Tim Wise will be out there in the streets, catching them blows. Play the Jemele Hill clip.
That's how people are so emotionally invested in this, because not only this is what makes this one maybe a little more unique than, say, a Duke UNLV, or even if you want to go back in time and say, a Joe Louis, Max Schmeling type of thing, or with a lot of the boxing matches that we've seen in recent history, is that you also have the gender dynamic that's at play here. And what everybody's sort of preconceived notions about how women are supposed to behave, whether it be Black women or white women. A lot of the digs that get thrown at Angel Reese is about behavior and policing, how she behaves, and Flau'jae Johnson and Kim Mulkey about behavior. And no, they're not supposed to act this way. They're not supposed to be this brash. They're not supposed to be this bold. They're not supposed to get on the court and talk their shit. They're not supposed to do these things, because this is not how we have idealized what women in a competitive sport, what that looks like. And I think another thing that kind of sort of inflames this even more is that we see that the criticism is often very one-sided. Caitlin Clark talks her shit. Caitlin Clark is demonstrative. Caitlin Clark, and in this way, I do compare, in many ways I compare it to Steph, but also in this way as well, is that Steph Curry Steph Curry has a lot of flair and flamboyance to his game. He can get into it, with people, and he's got the shimmy and all that, but people aren't bothered by that. Caitlin Clark is the same way. It's like, people aren't bothered by it because they're caught up in the narrative of, oh, here's this, wonderful, kind soul from the great state of Iowa representing middle America. So they put all these sort of, what happens in these sports race wars is everybody projects their own shit on the people coming, and the people who are actually involved in the competitiveness of it, who have nothing to do with any of this. Some of it is media driven, some of it is personally driven. But at the end of the day, what's on the line tonight is an opportunity to go to the Final Four. And that's all they care about. But everybody watching cares about other that has nothing to do with basketball.
I won't just say yes. I need you to do more and say less. I won't just say yes. Need you to do more and say less.